Tonight, awesome guests. We have the Hillsdale High School track team with head coach Clay Schiman. And also we'll talk to Mike Blanchard in a little while, former Hornet state champion at Hillsdale High School, who has a special announcement to pass along. We look forward to talking to Mike in just a few minutes. MP and Rick at the back end talking Tigers baseball, but we start with Coach Schiman, his second appearance on the Timeout Show. And, Coach, it's good to have you in.
Hey, thanks. It's great to be here once again.
You're so busy right now. I didn't know if this would ever be able to happen. You guys have been really busy with track, but before we get into the track season, the Hillsdale community lost a special person this last week.
Yes, we did. Jack Winchell. He was the man that you may have seen many times. If you went to a Hillsdale basketball game, if you went to a Hillsdale football game, you walked in the gym and there was that man sitting at the door, kind of being security, kind of just helping out, helping officials. He passed away this week. He was such a great help. He was a volunteer assistant for our athletic department and was just, had a great impact for Peter Beck before me, and helping me, just having that person there who had a key to everything and who knew how events were to be run.
These guys are invaluable to these schools. I think any school, if we talk to folks at any school in the county, they would say there's somebody like Jack who helps out and makes the sports go great for kids. This is all about kids. The adults enjoy sports, and we love to watch it, but it's about the experience for the kids. And, Jack was a really special man, and I know he's going to be missed. You have a special track team this year. Both of your teams are doing really, really well, but the guys right now, second in the state. That's a pretty high place to be. How have you gotten to that ranking so far?
Well, the key is we got some great athletes out for the team this year, and the kids are committed. They're really dedicated to being at practice and to working hard and to improving every day. Like you said, currently we're ranked second in the state. We've already got an invitation to the team state meet on May 24th to go compete for a state title, and that's a goal that we set at the start of the season, and the kids have done a great job of focusing on going through the process it takes to try to achieve something that great.
The ladies not bad either, 2-2 in the league and off to a solid start.
Yeah, our girls team isn't quite as big as the guys team numbers wise, but I'll tell you what, the girls are working equally as hard and really pushing themselves to try to improve every day and are having some success. They're working hard, and I'm proud of what they're doing as well.
Epic battle between Coach Pelham and Coach Phillips over athletes trying to stock that tennis team on the one side, and you're trying to get kids out for track. Are people able to do multiple sports at one time, or do you have to focus on one?
Actually, for the first time since I've been the coach, we do have a dual sport athlete this year on our track team. It's kind of, can the coaches work it out? Can the athlete work it out? I mean, it's extra work because both coaches want them at practice. And so far, Coach Chase and I have worked something out with Austin Hawkins, a special athlete who, is over a 21-foot long jumper for me, a 6'2" high jumper. He's certainly very fast, and also, plays center field very well for our baseball team. So it's something that we're trying for the first time this year on the track team anyway, and it's something that we don't have as many kids in our school now, and we've got to, it's something that we've got to be more open to.
Dual sports is hard on coaches. As a longtime football coach, I wanted my kid at football practice. Yeah. Didn't want to share him.
Absolutely.
I wanted him at football practice. But you have a kid like that who's great on both of those squads, and you got to you also have to kind of admire a kid. You have so many kids who don't really want to do anything, and then you have a kid that wants to do everything, and you kind of admire that as a coach and as a teacher, and you want to accommodate them as long as they're able to handle their side of it, and apparently that's worked out so far. I mean, Trey was doing golf, and we were all over him to get on baseball, and he's having a blast on both of those, and he's making it work also. Andrew Wilcox, the same thing, so it can definitely pan out. On your guy's side, you can't make it to second in the state without some sensational athletes. Who are a couple of the names that we need to know about with your track team?
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. You've got to have not just depth, but some exceptional talent. And, on the sprint side of things, we've got a few outstanding sprinters. Jimmy Felsky, it already as a sophomore last year tied our school 200-meter record. He's phenomenal. Cody Shaw is a senior who's really stepped up this year and is running very fast. Trevor Clevenger's a newcomer to track. Those are just a few sprinters. Marshall, who you've got Marshall here as well, is a senior 4-year athlete who, so we got a lot of sprint depth. We don't have as many distance runners, but we've got a lot of talent in the distance. Zach Hardway, returning All-State miler, running very fast in the mile in the 800. Brock Eves, that kid runs every day and works extremely hard and is running very fast in the 2 mile 800 as well. Throwers, hurdlers, all of our field events. I mean, we've really got a lot of depth and some outstanding athletes really across the board.
You've won almost every event that you've been in this year. Took second at Grass Lake. Everything else is a first place. Probably the one you think about the most is that second at Grass Lake.
Yeah. We lost to Concord, which is probably the top team in Division 4, and there's no shame in that. So we've been very competitive.
How much time do you spend thinking about your strategy in terms of who to put in what events?
Way too much, to be honest with you. A lot of my time when I get home from my job as AD is spent on looking over the upcoming meets. Already kind of started peeking ahead to team state and trying to come up with different, areas where we might be strongest and be able to score the most points. And the kids are so committed and so dedicated and work so hard at practice for me that I need to put in that time, and they deserve that time out of me to make sure that I'm putting forth, the best lineup I can.
You stole that from the Coach Felix book, because he says that all the time. Coach Felix is insane. He just studies all the time.
He does.
He's doing film all the time. There was a game last year where he didn't have a film. It was kind of a sudden situation.
Yep.
Game had gotten canceled. He wasn't able to get the film. I thought he was going to lose his mind.
He was very nervous for that game.
He was very nervous, and they won by 100.
Yeah, by a lot. You're right, and that's part of the thing as a coach. And my mentors, Pat Pastula, Mark Lemeron, Brad Felix. I've seen for a lot of years the amount of time and effort they put in outside of practice as a coach, and I've seen what it takes to have a program, at that top level, and our kids deserve that, and I want to try to put in that time. Clay
Schiman is the athletic director at Hillsdale High School. He's also the track coach for the boys and the girls. Talk a little bit about some of your girl athletes.
Hey, we've got some outstanding girl athletes, and we're dealing, a little bit of some injury issues with one of our top athletes. Anna Rushing's a school record holder in the 100, and it's not often you get we've got a couple, a school record holder returning for a senior year. And she's dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue right now, but is a great leader and a great presence to have around as she rehabs that and goes to physical therapy. Maddie Richards, certainly a leader on our distance squad, and works so hard year round again, and puts forth great results. Sarah Kempa, great middle distance runner who again is a 3-sport athlete and is really dedicated to running. And then, we have some great throwers. Alana Thayer it works so hard. She's certainly got the pedigree for it, the genes for it.
I would say.
But she works hard at those things.
Is she the only athlete that you have whose mom was in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Is she? Okay.
Yeah, and probably won't have too many more of those. Had her older sister last year, so I'll tell you what, that's kind of fun. That's kind of cool, standing at a meet next to a former Olympian and getting some insight there.
These kids are not getting away with anything on eligibility, having the AD be their head coach.
No, we want to do things the right way.
You have an eye on eligibility and all of that, and it looks like with the crew you brought in tonight, that's not a big problem. No,
it isn't. We don't have much problem. We stay focused on our academics as well, and that's so important. And you've got to succeed both in the classroom and on the playing field.
Big picture question about track, and then we'll bring in some of your athletes. I think that track is a great sport because you can't really blame the coach. You can't really blame anybody, the referee or the official or anything. It's a team sport for sure, but it's also a lot of individual work. The mental toughness involved in training the way that you're describing. If you're running a 2-mile, gutting out that last half lap or whatever the case may be, staying strong mentally is such a huge part of a successful track program. I know you work a lot on the physical side. What have you found works on the mental side?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a lot more one-on-one work when you're dealing, each individual. But you're right. It's so, to be great at this, and it's so much effort on a daily basis, both physical and mental. And it is a very mental sport. But I think that's part of what makes our sport so great is that, it's such a pure sport. The fastest kid's going to win as long as they stay mentally tough. And I think that's part of what makes it so special. So, and as you said, it is an individual sport, but it's a team sport as well. And that's, one of my points of emphasis coming into this season was I want to start focusing more on us doing something special together as a team, and the individual accolades will come along with that. Because
I've seen situations in track before where, a coach will try to maximize that point total and have to move a kid maybe out of their favorite event. And that can happen occasionally, and kids have to understand the big picture. They do.
And that's important in every sport, and track is absolutely no exception. And I think our kids do see the big picture and do see our team goals, and and they're all working hard, and it makes it tough sometimes because seriously, they are all working really hard, and you don't, but sometimes you just get in those situations, and they handle it well, and they stay focused on our goals.
I'm going to pin you down here. I'm going to put you out on a limb.
Okay.
What's the toughest event?
That's really difficult. I was a 400 runner, so I'm inclined to say the 400, but I'll tell you what, I never had to run the 800. That's pretty much back-to-back 400s, just a little slower. It's a tie between the 4 and the 800.
I always wondered what that last hurdle on the 300 hurdles would look like.
That too.
Does that look like 12 feet tall by the time you get to that?
It has to. I tell you, it's gotta. That's gotta be right up there too. They each have their own challenges, and that 300 hurdles is certainly.
When's your next event, Coach?
We're at Quincy this Saturday.
Quincy
Invitational.
Introduce the kids you brought with you today.
All right. Well, I've brought our junior thrower Matt Mueller. I brought senior sprinter Marshall Hamill. Our sophomore middle distance runner Sarah Kempa. And our senior distance runner, Maddie Richards.
Maddie Richards is cool because she's going to my favorite college in the whole world. But you've got a lot of work to do before you get to that point. You're off to a great start this year.
Yes. First of all, I just want to say thank you for having us on tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for making the time.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how I'm doing this season so far. I'm coming off an injury in the fall, so I've been just trying to come on strong and kind of get back into it, and I feel like I'm doing pretty well with that.
So you're running 2 miles?
Well, I do the mile and the 800 most meets, but my favorite event has to be the 2 mile.
And that's 8 laps?
Yes.
So I would forget what lap I was on. Are you able to remember where you're at during the race?
No, not always. Sometimes, most of the time I'm pretty good, but sometimes I definitely need those officials standing on the line telling me what lap I'm on.
Where are you in comparison to your times from last year?
I'd say I'm about the same or a little better.
So you've totally gotten through the injury and all the rest of that.
My injury hasn't been prevalent at all this season, so I'm very happy about that.
When you're out there, you probably intend to win as many races as you can. Do you have a strategy that changes from race to race depending on who you're facing, or do you just try to run your race regardless of who you're going against?
Well, the latter would definitely be ideal, but I do tend to have different race strategies for different races. Not really for different runners I'm facing against, unless I know that runner very well and I've raced against them in the past, but it definitely varies from race to race.
Madeline Richards is with us. You start the track meet, so you have to be ready with that 2 mile right at the very beginning. Do you enjoy kind of getting that one over at the beginning, or is that tough?
The 2 mile is actually, I don't mean to correct you, but
Two-mile relays first.
Oh, my mistake. No, that's fine. Don't worry about that. You set me straight. Where's the 2 mile located then?
the 2 mile is the second to last event.
Oh, it's right near the end.
Yes.
Do they run the girls and the boys together?
Not always.
Do you smoke most of the boys?
Well, if it's a really small meet. Not at the big invitationals, though.
Huge invites, maybe not so much, but on the smaller ones, you lap them multiple times.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. That's the plan. You are dual enrolled. You take some classes up at Hillsdale College, too, so your plate is full with studies and sports and all the rest of it. How have you managed to make that adjustment this year?
Well, it's really taught me time management, I will say that. But I have loved every minute of dual enrolling at the college. It's been a great experience. Every time I walk on that campus, I love it even more. It's just such a blessing to be able to be in a place that's like this and to have been accepted to a college that is as amazing as this one.
You plan to run for Coach Town next year?
Mm-hmm.
He's
yep,
awesome.
I signed with them in February.
He's a great guy, good
yes,
friend,
he is.
and you're going to have a great experience up there.
I'm so excited.
Good luck the rest of the year. Let's bring Sarah in.
Thank you.
Sarah Kempa.
Hi.
And what year are you, Sarah?
I am a sophomore.
Oh, good for Coach Schiman. He's got you a couple of more years, and you're a middle distance?
Yeah.
So how's it been going for you so far?
Pretty good. I just got a PR a couple meets ago.
Personal record?
Yeah. So it was 2:29, and I got first that meet too. So I was really excited for
The
that.
800 is, like Coach said, it can be pretty brutal, especially, the pace that gets set sometimes is really quick.
Yeah.
Do you try to pace yourself at the beginning, or just go for it?
I try to pace myself. I have people standing at the 200 mark and the 400 mark yelling out splits for me each time I go around. So I have target times in my head. So that kind of helps me along and really set my target time. So if I know, if I'm running a little slow, I need to pick up the pace for the next 200 meters or whatever, the rest of the race.
Some relays, too?
Yes. I'm in the 4x1, the 4x2, and last year I was in the 2 mile relay, but not this year.
That 4x1 relay is such a precise race. You have to have all of the handoffs really practiced out, and every little thing has got to go exactly right to win that race in tough competition. How has your team kind of gelled with that event?
Our handoffs are actually pretty good. I mean, one of our races wasn't that good, but I mean, most of it,
That happens.
Of the time, they're pretty good.
Sarah, your coach said that you were a three-sport athlete.
Yes.
So what other sports did you do this year?
Cross country, basketball, and track.
So you're into the track season. You've had a couple of wins this year. Do you see your team kind of growing and getting better as the year goes along?
Yeah, everyone's definitely improving a lot. A lot of the younger girls, the freshmen this year, there's a couple of freshmen that they're starting to improve a lot this year.
How do you get a PR? I would think that you've been doing this now for 6 weeks now anyway, or 8 weeks with the training that you do. Trying to get better at that 800 as we kind of focus on that race for you. To get down to 229 is huge. Now you're thinking, okay, let's do 228.5 or whatever the case may be. How do you try to improve those times during the course of the year?
Well, I definitely work really hard and practice a lot, and I have a big goal set, by the end of my senior year, try to get the 800 record at the high school. So I'm really just working towards that and trying to get my times down a lot. And this year I'm definitely running faster than last year. So I just have a lot of goals in mind.
Good for you, Sarah, and thank you for being here. Marshall?
Hey.
Marshall Hamill is the outside backer for Coach Lem. He'll be a senior captain next year for the Hillsdale Hornets, and also doing some track.
Yeah.
And flying out there.
I try to.
And having a lot of fun. What are your events?
I do the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, and the 800-meter relay.
What's your favorite event?
Probably the 800-meter relay. There's just something that you can't. There's something to be said for seeing that guy come around the corner and you just gotta go.
Which leg are you?
Third leg.
So what's the key for the third leg person besides just going fast, right?
Don't screw up the handoffs.
Don't screw. You want to get it to your anchor and let him go, right?
Yes.
Football, obviously, you guys had an awesome season at the playoff win and kept the playoff string alive. Football and track, I would think, are different in a lot of ways. How do you, when you think about those two sports that you play, how do they kind of fit together in your mind?
Well, they have a lot in common. The intensity just usually carries over from football to track, and that's really what wills everyone through. I mean, there's guys all over from our football team that's on the track team, and that chemistry that we had in football carries over into our relays, and it's fantastic.
Awesome. 100-meter dash. Probably the most popular race in track, or the one that most people think about when they think of the big track athletes. You have to have that start down perfect out of the blocks. How have you gotten better at that?
Really, you start to think about all the things that you worked for over the years, and as a senior, you realize that this is it. You got to go.
I couldn't do it. I was slow, firstly. But secondly, the reflex that you have to have when that gun goes off to hit it and go 1,000,000 miles an hour right now. And to not leave, I would leave early, or I would screw it up 1,000,000 times. How do you kind of keep yourself calm and also intense at the same time?
Really, you just have that confidence from all the practices you've been through, and I've been doing this forever. So really,
so you don't false start?
No, I've yet to do it.
We're knocking on wood, man. Knocking on wood. Marshall, obviously, when July rolls around, Coach Lem's going to want a lot of your time.
I am a senior, though.
I thought that you were going to be a senior next year.
No, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
No, you didn't misspoke. I misunderstood you. Well, so you went out with a playoff win.
Yes.
And that's awesome. And what's your plan for next year?
I'm going to attend Central Michigan.
Awesome. Fire up chips.
Exactly.
Good for you.
I'll be studying pre-med.
Well, congratulations. Good to meet you, man. Matt Mueller is like 6'7". He is a big dude, and he is really ripping up the throwing events for Hillsdale High School. How are you?
I am doing excellent.
Awesome. Discus and shot, is that all you do?
That's all I do,
So you're focused on the throwing events?
Yes.
Does Coach make you run at practice anyway?
Rarely.
Okay.
Rarely.
Okay, so you're out there working on your skills. How do you practice? What do you do during practice?
Discus and shot, it's all about form. So we have an excellent throwing coach we just got this season. He's a former D1 athlete, Tyrus Conley. So he helps us perfect that form.
And get the technique down. Everybody says it's not just brute strength, it's technique. What are some things you've been trying to get better at?
I've been trying to twist my hip more when I throw and strike back harder with my left leg. Yep.
I don't think I could do either one of those things without a hospital visit after I got done with it. You have a massive leverage. You're a big, tall guy. Is that part of your game, your strategy when you go out there?
Yeah. I try to use it to the best of my ability because I'm going up against people that sometimes weigh 250, 260. So I have to use whatever I've got to try to will it out there.
Yeah, there are different sizes and shapes of throwers. You'll see the 400-pound man sometimes, but you'll see a thinner guy like you who also can wing it out there with great leverage, great arm span, and all the rest of it. Do you have a preference between the two?
Well, I like my build, but...
I mean, my question is a preference between the sports.
I prefer shot put.
Really?
Yes.
Cool. This last weekend, they had a tragedy up at Hillsdale College during that hammer throw. One of the officials got hit in the face with the hammer. I don't know how you discus people in particular. I don't know much about the hammer throw, but the discus, you're spinning around and you're launching that thing. How do you sort of calibrate where that thing's going to go?
Normally, it's just all the repetitions that you take, you get used to it, but you still always just have to be careful and watching out.
And when you hit one and it flies, it's got to be a good feeling.
Oh, it's the best feeling.
You can watch it sail, right?
Yep, it should be almost effortless.
So how are your, have you seen some improvement in your throws this year?
Yes, I have. I've increased my shot put by 5-6 feet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's big. Well, good for you. Congratulations. Nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you.
Clay Schiman is the athletic director. He's the head coach. He has some great kids. You just heard a sampling of them. It's got to be fun to work with these kids on a day-in, day-out basis.
It really is. These kids, and I could have brought my whole team.
Oh, I know. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm having such a great time this season and every track season. I love it because of the kids that I get.